Hello guys, in this video we are going to make a Pong game in Scratch. Let's look at our game. So our paddle is moving with the help of the mouse, and whenever the mouse touches the block, our block bounces, and we have to keep making our block bounce and do not have to let it touch the line. Let's see what happens when it touches the line. So the game gets over. Now if there's a button ipad on here, and now my pedal does not move with the help of a mouse but with the help of the arrow keys. So this is the game, and now let's look into the game. Let's code our Pong game, and first let's import the sprites. So we will need a pedal here. So let's search for a pedal. We'll get a pedal, and also we need a ball here or anything that you want to make bounce. So we select the ball. Then let's go to the backdrops and let's select a backdrop. I'll go with the raised backdrop. Now let's first code our pedal. So we want a pedal to move with our mouse. Wherever a mouse move, we want the pedal to move. So first of all, we'll go to the events. We drag out the when green flag click block because this will trigger the code. So events are always necessary. It should be the first block when you're coding, and we want whenever the green flag is clicked, we want the pedal to start moving with the mouse, and then we want to make it move forever. So we drag the forever block, and then we want to set the x to the mouse's x. So we drag the set x block, we go to sensing, and then we drag out the mouse x block. Now when we play, we see that the pedal moves with the mouse. Now we can stop here, and then we can go ahead and code the basketball. So what do we want to do whenever the green flag is kicked? We want the basketball to go to a random position. We want it to turn to 45 degrees so that the movement is random and not in one direction. And then forever, we want it to keep moving 10 steps, and then whenever it touches the edges, we want it to bounce. So let's test this now, and we see that the ball is moving around the screen, and whenever it touches the edge, it bounces. So that's good. Now let's add our conditionals. We'll go to control, we'll add a conditional here that if the ball touches the mouse, touches the pedal, then we want it to turn some degrees, and we want to increase the score here. So we want to turn it some degrees here. So I'll just make it turn 45 degrees. So now that I see, so whenever it touches the pad, it turns 45 degrees. And I think 45 is not the right number. Let's turn it by 15 degrees because 45 really messes it up. And now we see that the 15 is a good number, and it bounces, it moves in random directions. So we can stop here. And now we want to increase our score as well. So let's go to the variable section, and we already have a score variable here. I'll just delete it. Let's make a new variable score, and then we can set the score to 0, and then we can change the score when the pedal touches the ball, and we change the score by 1. Okay. Now we have coded the pedal, and we also have coded the ball. Now we can go ahead and add the line that is at the very bottom. We can add it as a sprite. We can go here, select the line, and then we can add the line here, make a line using paint. Change this to a solid 7. Okay, so that now line is quite visible. Now we can place it where we want to place it on the screen. And now we want that whenever the ball touches the line, the game gets over. So again, when green flag is clicked, we'll drag a forever block here. And if, because we want to check it continuously, we'll need a forever block. And if the ball touches the pedal, so we go into sensing, we say touching. And if my line is touching the ball, and we'll rename the sprite to line. Okay, so if line is touching the basketball, then I want to stop everything. I want to stop all, and I also want to change the backdrop to a game over backdrop. So I'll go into the stage and backdrops here. I'll go for a backdrop, and then I'll add one more backdrop here. So I'll duplicate my backdrop, and I'll just go to text here, and I'll add a text of game over. Game over. And then we can select this, make it huge, that it pops up right away. And this is our game over backdrop. So we can go back to this, we can go back to the code, we can go into the line, and we can say that we can go into looks and we can switch backdrop to game over. So we have to name our backdrop here. Let's go to backdrops again and name our backdrop to game over. And let's go to the code back and go to the line code, and we can switch the game over backdrop. So let's see what happens when the ball doesn't bounce on the pedal and touches the line. We see the game over backdrop. But however, in the start of the game, we also had the game over backdrop. So we switched the backdrop to the normal backdrop at the start of the game. Yeah. So now we can see that when the backdrop is normal and when it touches the line, the game is over and we see the backdrop and everything stops. Okay, so now we can go ahead and add a winning condition. So we can go again into control section here and we can drag out the if block and we can go into operators and we can check if score is greater than a certain number, maybe if score is greater than 10, and once we reach 11, then we win the game. So again, if we win the game, we want to stop everything. We want to change the backdrop. So let's go to the backdrop section again here and let's duplicate the backdrop again. And we can write here, you win. And add some exclamations. And we name our backdrop to you win. Let's go to the code again. Let's go to basketball here and let's switch backdrop to you win when we win the game. Okay, so now we can go ahead and add a button. So let's add a sprite here. Let's go to buttons. And let's type something on it. So we can go into costumes of the button. And here we can type iPad on. We can place it in the center. And here we can type iPad off. And then again, you can go ahead and place it in the center. Okay, so this is our button. And when we can place a button here in the corner and we can go here in the size and we can just change it to 80 and then you can go into code here. Okay, so now that we have added the button, let's code the button. So first of all, to code the button, we'll make a variable called iPad so that we know the current situation of the button in the code, right? So when this sprite is clicked, when the button is clicked, we want that if it's in the on state, it goes into the off state, and if it's in the off state, it goes into the on state. So we drag out the if else block here to check in which condition it is already. So we go into the operators, we drag out the equals to block, and then we go into variables and we take out the iPad and we check if it's in its zero state, which means that the iPad is not on right now. If it's in its zero state and the sprite is clicked, it means that we have to switch the costume to iPad on, to iPad off. And we also have to change the variable to 1, which means that now when it was showing iPad on, and which means that you can now get iPad on, and the value of it was 0. And when you clicked on iPad on, so the costume changed and now you can play with your arrow keys, right? And then the other obviously the other thing will go into the else area, that if else if iPad is equals to 1 and it is clicked, then we should display iPad on costume, and the variable we need to set it to 0. Okay, so we can see that now whenever we click it, the costume changes. Now we need to do something. First of all, let's just remove this one, hide. And now we need to do something when iPad turns on and off. So we go into the pedal area here and we drag out the if else block here. And we set X to mouse X when iPad is 0, which means that iPad is not on and we need to use the mouse. So we go to variable, we first go to operators, we drag out the equals to block here, we go to variables, we check if iPad is equals to 0, then we need to set X to mouse X, else we have to use the arrow key. So for that, we'll need the if conditions again. So we go into controls, we drag out the if condition, and we go into sensing to see if the key is pressed or not. So if the right arrow key is pressed, then we make the pedal move right. So we go into motion and we say that change X by 10. And then again, we go into the control blocks and we say that if left arrow key is pressed, so we go into sensing again, key pressed. And if left arrow key is pressed, then we want to move x by -10. And now let's test our game. Okay, so now we see that as the iPad is off, as the iPad on button is on and iPad off button is displayed, we use the arrow keys to move our pedal. And and as we click on the iPad on button and press the green flag, so now our paddle moves with our arrow keys. So that's it for this game. We have coded the movement and we have also coded it with with arrow keys as well as mouse, and that's it about this game. If you like the video, please subscribe and like the video, and thank you for watching.